Welcome back to another episode of Off the Bench, Northern Arizona Prep Sports, presented by Rice Accounting and Jackson Hewitt Tax Services and Cottonwood Parks and Recreation. I'm your host, Philip Catalfamo. We have got a great show in store for you this week. Later in the program, we'll be joined by Coconino High School football coach Mike Lapsley. He'll talk about his senior heavy team, which new additions he's excited about, and he'll preview their first game against Blue Ridge. We'll then be joined by Prescott High School swim coach Bill Riviere. He'll break down which area he would like to see his team improve in this season, how he plans to attract more kids to the sport, and the emergence of club swim. And when we return from break, we'll be joined by Prescott High School football coach Cody Collett. He joins the show to speak about his senior returners, how he's preparing the team for their first game against Carl Hayden, and how the quarterback position will shake out. All of that and a whole lot more coming up right here on Off the Bench. Stay with us. We will be right back.
Two things we can count on every year.
A new set of tax rules and great weather here in Northern Arizona.
Jackson Hewitt Tax Service, locally owned and operated by Lewis Rice since 1997, is here for you all year long.
Your neighborhood Jackson Hewitt Tax Office will help you in all of your taxing situations.
Electronic filing is always free with your tax preparation at Jackson Hewitt Tax Service.
Get more in return. Call 1-800-234-1040 for an office near you.
Welcome back to Off the Bench, Northern Arizona Prep Sports, presented by Rice Accounting and Jackson Hewitt Tax Services and Cottonwood Parks and Recreation. I'm joined now by a very familiar face of the program. He is Prescott High School football coach Cody Collett. Coach, welcome back to the show.
Thanks a lot for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, we're always happy to have you, Coach. Obviously, we're getting close to the start of the football season. The Badgers will have their first game on September 2nd against Carl Hayden. But Coach, first and foremost, how's the offseason going?
It's gone well. It's gone really well. Kids have been working hard. We've had good numbers and trying to get better every day and work that process. And big senior group coming this year. So it's been exciting watching their progress. Got some solid junior players, some young players we think contribute as well. So always enjoy, like I said, I enjoy the practice and the preparation equally, if not more so, probably more so than the games for me. So that part's been enjoyable. And I think we've made some big strides in both skill development and speed and strength. So we're excited about that.
Coach, we talked a little bit beforehand. Going to see some upgrades to the weight room here soon, right?
Yeah, we've been running camps the last few years up here at Prescott High School. Have a bunch of teams, have about 10 schools from the Valley coming this year. As a matter of fact, Cesar Chavez and our first opponent, Carl Hayden, are here right now. Some other schools coming in later. We had Mountain Point last week, but that and the kindness of our district and our administration has been wonderful. We're going to be putting in brand new flooring. It's going to have inlaid platforms. It's going to have turf. We're really, really excited about it. It's going to be a state-of-the-art facility and one we think is going to be one of the best, if not the best, in 4A. So we're pretty pumped about it.
How does that help your program, Coach? Is it just having that accessibility to different machines, maybe different, like you said, the turf? I know we saw similar additions to the Mingus Union High School weight room as well. Does it just help with training in different areas that you may not have available currently?
Absolutely. And it definitely helps with training. And there's some short speed things you can do. And in the winter times, it'll be nice to have some turf, be able to do some short sprints and some change of direction and things like that. Also, it's important to have facilities, I think, that your kids and your community and everybody take pride in. And there's a lot of pride in our football program and many of the programs in the Grand Canyon. I know Coconino has made renovations to theirs as well. So I think it's important to have things your kids are proud of and want to be a part of. And we're really proud of this program. And it's just another great addition to it. And it's not just for the football program. It's going to help all of our athletic programs across the board. So we've made our athletic director, Missy Townsend's very forward thinking. We've done some really cool things with the locker room, both the boys and girls, and some other things there. So we're excited about that. And it's just more fun. It's exciting and it's cool. And there's definitely some things I think it gives you the chance. For example, now we do our freshmen and sophomores at one time in the weight room, and then our juniors and seniors in the other. This is probably going to make it so we can have everybody in at once, which is nice as well. So more time, more efficient with our time, and getting other people in. Our programs have all done really well, but I'm excited. I think this is going to help kind of hopefully have us all take the next step.
Any new faces to the program, Coach? I mean, like we talked about, you guys had your summer workouts throughout the year. Any freshmen you're excited about this year?
There's some incoming freshmen that I think will do some good things. Probably not at the varsity level just yet. Obviously, we have a veteran team, but we have some sophomores that I'm really excited about that I think could contribute on the varsity level. Josiah Peoples, Uriah Tenet, who's a really good guard for the basketball team. Also, Cooper Kassoon. There's some sophomores I think are going to make some big contributions, and we're excited about those guys. And we just love that process. Try to get a little bit better every single day, and if we can do that, I think it gives us a chance to be successful.
You've got what a lot of coaches would love to have a problem of, which is two good quarterbacks on your roster. Obviously, you're going to welcome back Alex Vaughn, who for the majority of last season was your starting quarterback. And then, of course, his backup, Jackson Rice, who came in at the later end of the season when Alex unfortunately got injured. But, of course, Jackson had a great game against Bradshaw, able to lead you guys to a playoff win against the former Grand Canyon region champs. I want to ask, Coach, how is your quarterback position going to shake out? Where did both of those guys fill those roles? Obviously, you can't have both of them on the field at the same time.
Well, we can.
Right. Yeah, not a quarterback. Right.
And they both will spend a lot of time on the field at the same time. We're going to have some packages for Alex at quarterback. Alex is also maybe outside of Marie Norris, our fastest player. So Alex is going to play some receiver too, and he's looked really, really good in 7-on-7 at strong safety. So he's going to be a lot of different places on the field. Jackson right now probably has the lead quarterbacking wise. Uriah Tenet, the sophomore I spoke of, is also a really talented player. I don't know if you saw any basketball games. He's a real gifted athlete. Also qualified for state in the 4x1. So we're excited about him as well. And we've got some good pieces. Definitely. It's there's some good chess pieces to work with, and outstanding young men as well. And they work really hard. So we're looking forward to it.
Well, you've also got, of course, that added benefit. Like you said, you're welcoming back a lot of guys, a couple other that you're going to be getting back as well. Your big running backs. Seems like this year is going to be the year of the running back. You've got obviously Cody Leopold and Kian McKelvey on your team. You've got Gabriel Ricketts at Bradshaw Mountain. You've also got Cooper French out of Coconino. Flagstaff's always got really great running backs as well. How are you feeling about your returning running backs, Coach? Again, you've got a running back by committee, a few guys who play multiple positions for you. How are you feeling about Cody and Kian?
Cody and Kian are studs. They'll both play some defense as well. And Marie Norris is an outstanding runner. Cody, barring injury, will probably become our all-time leading rusher, all-time leader in touchdowns as well this fall. Kian has made tremendous. Cody and Kian both have made tremendous gains in speed. So we're really excited. I think that they were very good players last year, and I think they have a chance to be really, really special this year. And Maurier is the fastest guy on our roster. Still got to do some things to refine his game, but if he gets out in the open field, nobody's going to catch him. I'll promise you that. He was also on the 4x1 team there, and very fast young man.
You kind of touched upon it a little bit with Alex finding some time at receiver. Again, I know you're returning a big core, receiving core as well. I mean, how are you feeling about that group of guys too?
We're deeper in the skill positions than we've been this is my 9th year as the head coach. We've never been quite this deep. Now that can change real quick with injuries and things like that. But we're deeper in the skill positions. We have some solid linemen returning as well, but we have some pieces, some guys are going to need to step up and contribute there. But I feel really good about our team in general. It's a senior group. I don't know if we're doing this interview a year from now, I'm going to be going, man, we're graduating 25 seniors, but there's a lot of guys that have played a lot of varsity football, but the important thing is that they're getting better every day and working the process, because I've seen a lot of guys kind of stagnate in their growth, and that hasn't happened here. We try to take pride in our guys having their best season as seniors. I think if you're developing your players the right way, I think that's what should happen. And we're hoping that happens this year. And if it does, there could be some bright things ahead for the Badgers.
Now, Coach, I know this isn't obviously your first year graduating a heavy senior class. I just want to ask, I mean, do you feel any added pressure having, that many seniors on your roster, in any sense? Do you feel that there may be a bit more of a need to do well this season, or is it just more, hey, we're going to execute the way we execute?
After last year, when I had my heart attack, I don't feel a lot of pressure in anything.
That's good.
To be honest. If we, I think we have a chance to be a really good team, but if we're not, I'm going to go home and hug my wife and kiss my daughters and that type of thing. But I don't really feel like I'd probably before that put a lot of pressure on myself. And now it's a high school football game. We want our kids to be better people first and foremost. And I'm certainly hoping that we can have a solid year, and I think we can, but the sun will come up if we don't. So that's kind of where I'm at with that.
Yeah, I love the mentality, Coach. Yes, there will definitely be tomorrow, which is always a great mentality to have, especially in any circumstance. And always optimistic view is great to share here. Defense, Coach, you talked about, obviously, Alex might see some time at strong safety. Cody, I know, plays defense as well. I mean, where else are you feeling on the defensive front?
Well, got a lot of linebackers back. Leopold Hanna, Cody Hanna is an outstanding linebacker. Landon Francis, tremendous linebacker. A lot of depth. Jake Wright's played some starting linebacker for us. Ryan Smith will do a good job at linebacker or safety. Cole Gross started last year. We have two corners back, Jack Mason and Caden Pena. We have some holes to fill on the defensive line. We don't have a lot of defensive linemen that have played a lot, but linebacker and in the secondary, I think out of the 8 guys, I think we have 7 of them back. So a lot of them have played and played very well. Now, again, that, like I said, that and $1.50 will get you a cup of coffee. They got to make those plays again this year, but I feel like they have the ability to do so.
Yeah. Where's an area you'd like to see this team improve in coming into this season?
We need to get a little more depth up front, both on the offensive and defensive line. We need to have some more guys trained. One of the things that I thought was really interesting, I've always tried to study and do different things in the offseason, and a stat we're going to really keep close attention on is guys that have played meaningful snaps. And by meaningful snaps, I mean guys that played 15 snaps or more, wherever that may be. We want that number to be as high as possible. Number one, it creates investment in your program and your team for multiple guys. And for example, my first year here in 2012, we only had 30 guys in the varsity, but 23 guys of those 30 played meaningful snaps. Last year, we had 40 or 45 guys, and we still only had 23 guys playing meaningful snaps on a regular basis. So I think we're deep enough to have that to be where we could have 30, 35 guys playing meaningful snaps. And it's a long season. It's a grind of a season. And we want a lot of guys to play meaningful snaps to keep us healthier and fresher. And hopefully give us a chance to play our best football towards the end. And the schedule's brutal. We open with Carl Hayden, who's 6-4. We play week 2. We play Glendale, who was 11-2 last year, made the state semifinals. We play ALA Gilbert North, who I think might be the best team in 4A this fall. And Greenway is always tough. Sierra Linda was 8-2. Not to mention the Grand Canyon. Mingus is always tough. Flag's always got good teams. Coconino's loaded. Lee Williams has been, coming off state quarterfinal year. Bradshaw is always tough. And with Coach Young, they're going to be better and better and better. Mm-hmm. So the schedule is brutal. And we need to have a lot of guys play meaningful snaps in order to stay healthy, in order to be ready to play our best football at the end of the season. And that's what we're hoping to do.
Coach, can you give us a little bit of an insight as to why you packed the schedule so tough at the start? Is it just you want that battle tested? You want that strength of schedule? Or, you just want to give them a challenge? I mean,
I know the AIA does it a lot based on your power ranking. And we have, I believe, over the last 3 seasons, one of the higher, if not, I think we were 8 in the 4A power ranking over the last 3 seasons. They take into account multiple years. I think we were 7 or 8. So that alone is going to get you a challenging schedule. I was excited to play Glendale again. I wanted to play them up here, not go down there again. But hey, September 9th in the Valley is what it is. But I think it definitely battle testing. If there's one thing I learned from last year, we had a very challenging schedule last year as well. We were 7-3. There's been years we were 7-3 when I was first here, and we were on the outside looking in on the state playoffs. But we were 7-3 last year and had a home game.
Yep.
And part of that is because we're 7-3 with a tough schedule. And so we did that intentionally. It's not necessarily your record, but your record combined with the strength of schedule is such a big piece, I think, in the way the AIA does the power rankings. And I have no problem with that. And I'm excited about that. It's more fun for the kids too. It's more fun playing good football teams. Like I said, nobody in our non-league schedule did not finish with a winning season last year. Yeah. So we're working every day to try to meet that challenge.
Well, and it seems like, like you said, even in years past and even like last season, you guys have been able to meet that challenge with that tougher out of region schedule. And even like you said, you've already loaded up your schedule with teams that you more than likely will play against in the playoffs, or at least get a chance to play against in the playoffs. So, it's definitely, the track record speaks for itself, Coach. You guys are obviously ready and up for the challenge of that tough out of region schedule. You guys and Coconino, we'll get a chance to speak with Coach Lapsley right after this interview, and we'll talk to him about his tough schedule as well. But
he got a rough one too, no question. Bradshaw is a tough one. Well, everybody in the Grand Canyon, I've told multiple people, I think was, if not the best region in 4A last year, was one or two. Yep. We had 4 playoff teams. You had 2 teams in the final 8. Even the teams that didn't get in the playoffs were solid football teams. Mingus last year was one of the better offenses in 4A. They struggled a little bit defensively, but had a great offense. Flag started really well. Even a team like Flag beat Camelback, who was 7-3 in 5A. So everybody in the region was solid. And those games are always really, really intense and good competitive. For the most part, clean, hard-nosed football. So we always look forward to the Grand Canyon region games. And those non-league games are going to prepare us for that as well, because it's the region schedule is always tough. And we expect that, and we know that.
Coach Colette, I got one last question for you. You talked about it. We mentioned it. Of course, your first game against Carl Hayden starting September 2nd. You will get a chance to play Carl. Like you said, they're here now, so you guys are getting a chance to look at them a little bit now. But before we let you go, Coach, how are you preparing the team for that game against Carl Hayden? And we'll go from there.
Got a really talented running back. They got some good-looking kids, no question. Coach Arenas is doing a fantastic job. What he's done in the program in the 3 years he's been head coach, the strides he's made are impressive. They were 6-4 last year. Got a lot of good pieces back from that team, and they had a solid team last year. So we're the good thing is they do some things that we'll see later on in the season. They do some things offensively similar to the things Coconino has done, and some things like that. So it's a good opportunity for us to kind of see where we're at. We'll scrimmage the week before that against Post and Butte, who took us to the woodshed in the state quarterfinals last year, but we're looking forward to that as well. I think I know Post and Butte has lost a lot of skilled players, but they have 5 of the 6, including the tight end lineman back last year. And I'll tell you what, I could have gained some yards with the linemen they had. And they're always going to have solid skill kids as well. They got a tremendous coaching staff. Glendale week 2, so ALA Gilbert North after a bye. So it'll start fast, no question.
The Prescott Badgers will take on Carl Hayden on September 2nd, and they are led by this man, Cody Collett. Coach Colette, thank you very much for coming on the show.
I appreciate it. Always thank you for everything you do for high school athletics in Yavapai County, and looking forward to a great season. Thank you.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Coconino High School football coach Mike Lapsley right here on Off the Bench. Don't go anywhere.
two things we can count on every year:
a new set of tax rules and great weather here in northern Arizona.
Jackson Hewitt Tax Service, locally owned and operated by Lewis Rice since 1997, is here for you all year long.
Your neighborhood Jackson Hewitt Tax Office will help you in all of your taxing situations.
Electronic filing is always free with your tax preparation at Jackson Hewitt Tax Service.
Get more in return. Call 1-800-234-1040 for an office near you.
Welcome back to Off the Bench, Northern Arizona Prep Sports, presented by Rice Accounting and Jackson Hewitt Tax Services and Cottonwood Parks and Recreation. I'm joined now by Coconino High School football coach Mike Lapsley. Coach, welcome onto the show.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Well, we are very, very happy to have you, Coach. We're beginning, of course, our coverage of the fall football season. We'll have an actual 4A preview show for you a little later, either this month or next month. So take a look out for that. It'll be Matt Showalter and I previewing the entire 4A on the show. Should be a lot of fun, or 4A Grand Canyon region, I should say. And of course, one of those teams in that fantastic region are the Coconino Panthers. The Panthers last season were able to make the playoffs, solid trip to the playoffs last year for a very, very good Coco team. Coach, now here in 2022, how are you rolling that momentum into this season?
Well, we have a lot of senior leadership coming back, which is going to be good for us. Those guys are quite aware of our systems, and they're doing a great job of also coaching some of the younger guys coming up. So we're excited.
How's the offseason been going, Coach?
It's been going really well. We started the weight room, back in February. And, normally I start that in early March, and the guys were so eager. They called me up and said, hey, look, can we get in early? So that's been going really well. The practices have been great. For the most part, weather's cooperated. Up here, we deal with the monsoons quite a bit. So knock on wood that we keep going down that path.
Yeah, we're definitely knocking on wood, Coach. I'm looking forward to some fun late season games in Coconino when it's like -12. But no, Coco's always a great place to play. So, Coach, has there been a single focus of the offseason this year? Has it been strength? Has it been strategy? Of course, don't give too much out, but just I'm curious, what have you guys been specifically focusing on?
Yeah, I think bigger, stronger, faster, like most teams, is a really focus of the off season. So we've hit the weight room really hard, had great discipline in there, great buy-in there. In terms of schematics, everybody knows what we're about. We love to run the football. That's not, I'll be honest, that's not going to change. We've got some great returners, some great linemen as well. So in terms of, what we're really focused in on is building that team continuity, making sure that everybody's on the same page and working as a unit.
Well, you guys are in kind of a very fortunate position where you lose one great running back and you replace him with a very good running back in Cooper French. Cooper's coming back for his senior year. Him, along with Gabriel Ricketts, are probably going to be arguably the two best running backs in the entire 4A this season, or at least in the Grand Canyon region. Of course, Ricketts coming out of Bradshaw. But last season, Coach, Cooper steps in for I know Jaramillo went down early with an injury. Cooper steps in, had a lot of time his sophomore year as a running back, stepped in and really took over that role his junior year last year, rushing for over 1,500 yards. And honestly, throwing some bodies around, Coach. There are a couple low to the ground shoulder drops that Cooper had. They were pushing through some players. And then, of course, Cooper's also a wrestler. So we saw a couple wrestling moves when he was on the defensive side. But regardless, he's coming back, Coach, and he's coming back strong. So, what do you think he can accomplish in his final year here at Coconino?
He's just an ultimate competitor. That's taken him a long ways in wrestling. He's going on to college for wrestling. So I know, moving into this year for football, he already knows most of the stuff that we're doing. So I'm not overly concerned about the IQ part. Keeping him healthy is going to be a really big thing, not just for football, but for his future as well. But yeah, he's an ultimate competitor. He's hard to bring down. I've had a number of coaches say, he's one of those guys that you don't want to take one-on-one. That's not going to change by any means this year. So we're looking forward to seeing what he can do with the ball in his hands.
Well, Coach, I do want to ask, obviously, like we said, Cooper is also a wrestler, a sport that is very physical. There's a risk injury there. How do you work alongside Coach Schmieder to make sure, obviously once he's with Coach Schmieder, he's with Coach Schmieder, but how do you guys work along with each other to make sure that Cooper's ready for not only football season, but also wrestling season?
It's communication. Coach Meter and I have a great relationship. He appreciates the weight room and what it does for his athletes, during the football season and getting them prepared for wrestling. So we just keep an open line of communication and where we're at physically. We've really built in a lot of injury prevention stuff into the weight room this year, which is really important. A lot of mobility type things. So, keeping that line of communication with him is really a big part of it.
Coach, in the weight room, you get a lot of kids who are kind of starting out their weightlifting journey. I mean, how important is it to get these kids in the weight room lifting properly before they really start getting into a full workout?
Oh, it's absolutely huge. All the way down to the incoming freshmen. That's when you really see, that foreignness of the weight room, so to speak. But we always start off with that safety segment and make sure that we know that everyone's comfortable and make sure they're properly lifting with the right techniques to prevent some of those injuries that happen in there.
Yeah, I still can't do over the shoulder press. I don't know what it is. Like I tore my labrum a while back and I favor it too much. So maybe I should go over to Coconino High School and get a weightlifting session from Coach Lapsley.
We can help you out.
Oh, fantastic. Well, again, we are speaking with Coconino High School football coach Mike Lapsley. Of course, we're getting very, very close to the start of a football season. Early September, we'll have some early 4A Grand Canyon region games for you. We'll talk to Coach Lapsley, of course, about his schedule, very tough out-of-region schedule this year. But I want to ask, just in terms of returners, you also return back Enoch Watson, who was great alongside with Jacob Klaus. I know Jacob's more on the defensive side, but them kind of splitting a little time at quarterback. But I know Enoch is the guy, as a sophomore, played well, coming in for his junior year. I mean, what are you expecting from him this year, and how has his development been this offseason?
Incredible. Enoch last year, I think as a sophomore starting on varsity, it was a learning curve for him, to be quite frank. And, he spent so much time this offseason with me, with the guys, making sure everybody's on the same page offensively. We've done a number of 7-on-7 stuff. He looked incredible, caught the eyes of a lot of college coaches. And he's continuing to build as a leader, which is where I need him to be this year. So he's really taken the bull by the horn, so to speak, and made leaps and bounds in a number of different areas. His arm strength's incredible, but his IQ and understanding defenses has really grown this year. So extremely excited to see what he can do for us.
Of course, speaking about the defense, I mean, like I said, you get Jacob Klaus back, you'll get Pearson Watson back, to just name a few guys. I mean, are there any guys that you're excited about returning on the defensive side of the ball?
Those two are the obvious. Pearson's an absolute beast, and he's going to continue his college career or his football career at BYU next year. And
very cool.
I'm excited to really get him, prepared for that. And he's already taken the steps to do that. Jacob, I can't say enough good things about him. He's very instinctive on the defensive side of the ball. And actually one to look out for is Cooper French's younger brother, Bridger French, who is extremely athletic, very quick, very twitchy. He started a good handful of games for us last year as a sophomore on the defensive side. We expect big things from him. He's shown some greatness out on the football field already. And very humble young man too. So I think he'll contribute. We got some guys on the defensive line too that got a number of playing time. At one point last year, I think we had 6 or 7 sophomores on our defense starting. And those guys got a number of quality varsity reps. So I think overall the defensive side, some of those younger guys last year are going to really mature this year.
Well, how important, Coach, I know in years past, obviously there's some years where you have a good chunk of upperclassmen or you have a good chunk of underclassmen. You kind of have to play with the roster a little bit. But, more so, talking about the experience that your underclassmen are able to get last season. I mean, how important really is that to get your freshmen and sophomores worked in as best you can, whether it's a blowout game or if it's a 7-on-7 or if it's just an exhibition or a scrimmage? I mean, how much of an emphasis do you like to put on gaining that experience for your younger guys when they do make it up to the varsity level?
It's huge. And you said it best too, Philip. It goes through cycles. Last year, I think we had 13 sophomores. A number of them, I would say at least close to 50% saw quality reps at the varsity level. This year, I don't anticipate those kind of numbers.
Right.
In terms, maybe 2 to 3 guys that are actually coming up as sophomores. But it's extremely important. I talk to my lower level coaches all the time about the developmental side of things, not just the physical, but also the mental stuff. When they hit varsity, it tends to be a different game,
Yeah.
So preparing those guys at those lower levels is absolutely crucial.
Well, let's talk about some of those new faces, Coach. Like you'd said, it seems like a lot of those new guys are going to be making their way to JV, except a couple names here and there. But any freshmen you're excited about, any transfers you're excited about? How about the guys we haven't talked about yet?
We've got one particular kid that's looking extremely well on the offensive side. His name's Noble, young black goat, and he's been working his tail off every single day. Really left me no doubt but to pull him up to varsity as a sophomore. Great receiver. I think he's going to contribute on the defensive side as well, probably corner or safety or somewhere on the back end for us. And there's some younger guys that I had to really consider about moving up that I think are ready to play, but we just don't have a need, and sometimes that happens. But I know they're going to get great coaching at the lower level and make sure that they're ready for their varsity season.
Again, just kind of taking a look here. I had talked about the schedule. Obviously, let's talk a little bit about your guys' out of region schedule. You start off the season with Blue Ridge and Arcadia in early September to start off the year. Of course, 2 solid programs. And then you guys take on 3 straight 2021 playoff teams. You've got Poston Butte, Apache Junction, and then Northwest Christian. I know Northwest kind of slid into the playoffs last year. But Coach, how are you feeling about the toughness of the schedule early on, and how is it going to get you ready for region play? You guys kick off region play against Bradshaw, which is even more fun.
Yeah. Ever since AIA really went to the power rankings, it's been important for us to be playing quality teams so that at the end of the season, obviously, that we're hopefully in that playoff hunt. And the other side of that coin too is does us no good. And we've been in this boat before playing lesser quality teams. It tends to hurt us more than help us, I think, sometimes, both on the mental and physical side. So, those challenges are particularly early on are going to set the tone for the season. Right. The guys are well aware of what the schedule looks like and what they're up against. And we're really hoping to start off strong and let that continue through the course of the year.
Well, Coach, maybe you can give us a little insight in terms of how you build out your schedule. I mean, you already know you're going to be taking on your region opponents. That's already set. When it's going to happen, where, yada, yada. But the outer region, I know you talk about, obviously, that strength of schedule. You want a high strength of schedule, but at the same time, you want to play winnable games. I mean, I'm sure you love to play Yuma Catholic each week, but at the same time, I don't know how much you guys would really want to take on Yuma Catholic, a very, very good 4A school here in the 4A. But how do you find that balance, Coach? I mean, are you looking for, maybe a team that's got about 5 wins last season, and then we'll mix it in with a team that's got 8 wins. I mean, how do you build out that schedule to have that competition without killing your team's confidence early on?
I think there's a mix to it. And part of it is looking at the 3A and, since the AIA really put that into the schedule, we're looking for strong 3A opponents, obviously. And there's a lot of them, I give those guys credit. Snowflake, obviously, Blue Ridge is going to come out. They're going to give us everything that we can handle. We're quite aware of that. So, taking some of those 3A opponents that are those top tier, I was, say top 5 essentially, should be an incredible matchup and a great way to start the season. In terms of, we know the region is getting stronger and stronger. So quite aware, Bradshaw, Prescott, Lee Williams last year, and there's a number of other guys in there in the region that are going to be tough opponents. But overall, looking at it is some of those things that says, okay, where they finish, how consistent is their program? Those are both variables that we look at in terms of the schedule. And being here, this will be my 5th year at Coconino. Understanding some of these programs are more consistent than others. Making sure that we sprinkle those guys in there is a really big part of keeping that strength of schedule pretty high.
There's another team. We got a chance to speak with Coach Bob Young last week about the addition of Snowflake to the 4A. You guys will not be playing Snowflake in the regular season. Of course, hopefully you guys get a chance to see him in the playoffs, of course. But a very, very good school out of the 3A has really dominated the 3A for a while. Now they're making that big jump to the 4A, adding on teams much like Coconino, Bradshaw. You've got Yuma Catholic out of there, Seton Catholic. I mean, we can go on and on. Apache Junction, Boston Butte. I just named two that you're playing against this season. So, Coach, just in general, I mean, I know you've been coaching at Coco for 5 years. I'm not sure if you've got a chance to take on Snowflake yet, but if so, how did that go? And I mean, what do you think that they add to an already very good 4A?
So much. We're actually kind of lucky. We do get to scrimmage them. That's our scrimmage game this year. So, they just have an incredible football program. It's very noticeable. Their guys buy in. They're 100% committed. They are very consistent. Obviously, they're well coached. I think they bring a ton to the 4A in terms of having a quality program year in, year out, and they're going to be tough to beat. I've seen the wrestling program here, come here to Coconino. They're a hungry group of young men, and I think they're going to add a lot to the 4A, and definitely somebody to look out for. I think they're going to come out very, very strong this year.
Yeah, they're going to be very, very good. Again, we were speaking with Coconino High School football coach Mike Lapsley. Coconino will take on Blue Ridge to start off the season in early September, so definitely keep an eye out for that. Should be a great way to start off the season. Coach, one last question before we let you go. We talked about the 4A. We talked about your schedule. Let's talk about the region a little bit. Prescott is looking fired up. Bradshaw's looking fired up. Of course, your neighbors right across the street are always very tough to play against. Mingus is still rebuilding a little bit. They're looking like they give a little bit more of a direction. We'll get a chance to speak with Coach Monsiváis hopefully soon. And then, of course, I mean, Lee Williams is always very, very good and always a surprise out of the Grand Canyon region, especially last season. But I want to ask, Coach, how are you feeling about the region this year before we let you go?
I extremely competitive. Being my fifth year, this upcoming season might be the most competitive I've seen, top to bottom. You can't take a week off in region play. You can't mentally, obviously not physically, but mentally, you have to be prepared every single week. Prescott, Bradshaw, they've got great things going on down there. Obviously they took it to us last year. Lee Williams, very well coached. And, that's a team that every year our guys have started to really understand that, that they're a scrappy group of young men over there. They're going to bring it every single week. So there's not going to be an easy game, in region whatsoever. And I'm hoping our guys, understand that and take each week day by day and understand that, these are going to be really tough teams to face.
The Coconino Panthers take on Blue Ridge to start the season in September, and they are led by this man right here, Mike Lapsley. Coach Lapsley, thank you very much for coming on the show. Best of luck with the season going forward, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Prescott swim coach Bill Riviere right here on Off the Bench. Don't go anywhere.
Two things we can count on every year:
a new set of tax rules and great weather here in northern Arizona.
Jackson Hewitt Tax Service, locally owned and operated by Lewis Rice since 1997, is here for you all year long.
Your neighborhood Jackson Hewitt Tax Office will help you in all of your taxing situations.
Electronic filing is always free with your tax preparation at Jackson Hewitt Tax Service.
Get more in return. Call 1-800-234-1040 for an office near you.
Welcome back to Off the Bench, Northern Arizona Prep Sports, presented by Rice Accounting and Jackson Hewitt Tax Services and Cottonwood Parks and Recreation. I'm joined now by Prescott High School swim coach Bill Riviere. Coach Riviere, welcome back onto the show.
It's great to be here. I'm so glad that you came to me and said you wanted to talk.
Well, of course. So we're getting very, very close to the start of swim season, along with just the fall sports season in general. So we're beginning our coverage a little bit, Coach. And of course, we got to jump in the pool for a little bit. It's a perfect time to be in the pool right now. I'll tell you that, despite the rain that we've gotten in as of recording this episode, the rain that we've been getting in the area. But, it's always exciting. The swim season's getting underway. The Badgers will have their first meet on September 1st against Thunderbird. We'll talk to Coach Riviere about that in a little later in the interview. But Coach, first and foremost, it's been a while since we've talked. How is your summer going? How is the off season going? And how are you in general?
Well, we're doing really well. Club is going hot and heavy. A lot of the high schoolers are swimming in club. So we're getting them ready to go. They swim for USA Swimming. So we're just in our regionals and state meets for long course, which is the 50-meter pool. And so we've taken 13 swimmers to either regional or state. And so it's starting to go real well for us.
Any new faces to the program this year, Coach? Any freshmen, any transfers, anyone that you're excited that's a new face?
Yeah, we have a freshman coming in that's on the club team, Emma Chrysler. And so we're expecting great things from her. And then I've just received a person for club. She says she's going to go to Prescott High School. And she came from California, Kylie Marlett.
Okay. Yeah, very big transfer then. Looking at returners, Coach, I know if we take a look at the girls' side, larger class on the girls' side in terms of number of participants this season. You do return a lot of experience on the girls' side of the program. So focusing there before we talk about the boys, I know you got a heavy senior class this year. So just in general, from the returners you have, who are you excited to get back on the girls' side? And do you feel that this larger senior class will help benefit the program this season with how much experience they have?
Well, definitely experience is key. Either they're getting experience in club or they're getting experience in high school. And that maturity just kind of helps the team out, especially when you have a lot of young or new swimmers. If you have people in the program that's been there a while, that knows what we do, knows why we do it, it kind of just smooths the whole process for us. Onwin Smith is going to be another big key for us. She was new to us last year, and she's been working hard in club. She went to regionals last weekend, swam well, and placed in just about every one of her events. So we're really excited about her coming back. Juliana De Court is another one that's been on the team. This will be her 4th year. She's a senior. And she just brings a lot of maturity for the team. Emily Close is another one that is going to be a 4-year starter for us. And so she's going to be another girl that, we just bring that maturity along. And then we got some new ones that are coming in. So it's going to be interesting to see how they perform and how they do. High school is a little bit different than club, and so it's a lot more faster pace, quicker turnarounds between your events. So it'll be interesting to see how this season goes.
And of course, looking at the boys' side, like I said, you guys are returning a good chunk of players back as well. Taking a look at the roster from last season, there were a couple seniors, of course, but mostly a lot of juniors and underclassmen. So the boys program looks to be returning a lot of guys back. So similar question, Coach. Who are you excited to get back on the boys' side?
Well, we're losing Bryson Smith, and you cannot. It's hard to replace that speed, and he just had a natural talent to go quick. Micah Bittner, he's going to be a senior this year, and he's going to be huge for us. Rome Bassett, he's going to be huge too. He qualified for state in the 50 and the 100 free last year. And those two boys really helped us with getting 3 relays to state.
Coach, we kind of talked obviously about some of the numbers on more so the boys side. So I want to ask, how do you look to further grow this program? what attracts kids out to swim? I know you guys are competing with like football and cross country, and there's a bunch of other fall sports going on. So, I mean, what sort of sets swim aside from those sports? And I mean, we can talk even long-term benefits when we'll get to that point, but just more so, how do you look to build that program and take kids, or not necessarily take them, but attract them over to the swim side if maybe they play sports in the winter or spring?
Yeah, it's difficult, especially as you said, the teams that we are competing against, so to speak, and for kids, in the fall season. The sexier type of sports of football, baseball, basketball, those attract a lot of kids. However, they also have cuts, and so when that happens, then we're taking anybody that will come swim with us. We get a lot of kids early on, freshmen, sophomore, that have never really swam before competitively, and it's way different than just going to a pool and pushing off the bottom and and having fun and playing Marco Polo or sharks and
minnows. I'm a competitive Marco Polo player, coach. You got to be careful.
Yeah. So it's a lot different than that. And so, but we get a lot of kids that are either going to go in the military, right, that are looking for a great workout, and we're looking for kids that are going to be in the fall sports like wrestling, that's wanting to stay in shape and learn another sport at the same time. Swimming is a lifelong sport, so you can do this well up into your 80s and 90s, and it's low impact too. So kids that are looking for something that they're going to get the cardio, which you can't get a better sport for that, but not get hurt and do all those type of things that you can with a ball or
right
on land with gravity and all that stuff. So those are the ones that we attract. We also do some things at the school for freshman night and that sort of thing to try to bring kids in. And then we have, just our present swimmers that are talking to other kids and inviting them to the team. A lot of times the kids, we're probably the best kept secret in Prescott, where, people don't know, oh, we got a swim team. So
swim team that's been around for a while, by the way, people who don't know about the swim team, they've been around for a real long time.
Yes, we have. And so that's on us. We got to get out there and just let them know that, we're there. And, and if you have any type of, want to be on a swim team, we'll be glad to have you.
I definitely think referring to, kids getting prepared for the winter and spring seasons, taking on a sport like swim would be good. I mean, like you said, it's very cardio based. It's low impact. You're, pretty much in a pool. You're not participating in like water polo, which obviously is an aquatic sport, but a little bit different, a little bit more of a physical kind of sport. But yeah, no, it could be a great way for kids to stay in shape. And of course, if you don't know how to swim, great way to learn how to swim. Maybe start with learning how to swim first. But regardless,
we'll
like
do
you
that
said,
too.
hey, if you need, bodies are bodies, man. But regardless, it's good to hear. Of course, the program's still continuing to go forward. Like I said, we're speaking with Prescott High School swim coach Bill Riviere. Their first match is against Thunderbird High School on September 1st. Coach, I thought of this question before we started the interview. I wanted to talk a little bit about, obviously, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm 100% sure out of all the swim coaches that I've talked to, there's usually no JV for swim teams. I mean, maybe some programs are lucky enough to have like that amount of kids, but for the most part, I want to, and the only reason I say that is because I want to ask you, do you feel that's a benefit to your program is these kids are getting varsity experience coming in as freshmen? Now, of course, it's very tough to be a new competitive swimmer or a newer competitive swimmer going up against a 4-year varsity starter. But regardless, that's experience that you may not get on the baseball team, or you may not get on the basketball team, or even the cross country team or football. So I'm curious, do you see that as a benefit and maybe even an attractor to kids of like, hey, there's a chance you get a letter right out the gate and you're just going up from there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, we don't have a JV team. Everybody is on varsity. We do our best to get kids into events. Obviously, we're wanting to win the event, so we put our best swimmers in. but they're limited. They're limited to only 2 individual events and 2 relays, or 1 individual event and 3 relays. So it opens it up. And depending on if it's a tri-meet or a dual meet, I can put more swimmers in a dual meet than a tri-meet.
Right.
And then, but we run exhibition, and at invitationals, anybody can go to an invitational, which is where you'll get to see all the kids in the state and swimming against them, in the same pool.
Right.
You may not be in the same heat, but you're still going to be around them, and you're still going to get that experience. So I'm all about experience. They need to be in the pool. They need to be going against each other, and they need to be going against themselves. So when they go to a meet, they might do a 40 in the 50 free the first time, and then the next time they might do a 38, and you never know where it goes. I've had kids, a soccer player that came out, and his first meet, he did a 42 in the 50 free. And by the end of the season, he did a 25 in the 50 free.
Yeah.
So, and that is just being in the pool with all the same varsity kids, and practicing with them and seeing what they get to do, and then applying it in the pool.
Yeah. So, I mean, what an incredible opportunity. If you're a freshman or a sophomore, and you're going to be sitting on JV for football, or maybe I should say more so for basketball or some of the winter spring sports, and you're looking for something to stay in shape, maybe give yourself a little bit of a competitive edge, joining swim might be that competitive edge and give you some varsity experience so that you can kind of prepare yourself for the potential, your primary sport or your secondary sport, whatever you might be doing. Coach, obviously we're getting ready to start the beginning of the season. Where is an area you'd like to see this team improve in? Is it times? Is it speed? Is it just communication? I mean, where would you just like to see this team improve this year?
Well, times are everything for us. I'd like to improve so that we get more kids to state. And obviously at the beginning of the season, we're going to have a lot of new kids. So I want to see them gel together as a team, with team bonding and, other things that we're going to do. It's a tough sport because, everything is about the individual. There is team aspects of it. They keep track of, how many points we've scored by what place that our swimmers came in. But the relays are, basically the team type of thing. And so, and that's the most fun that the kids have. And they all want to be on a relay. So, getting those relay teams together now that we've lost 8 seniors last year, it's going to take a little bit of time for them to start to gel, try to figure out who's going to be on what relay. Obviously, at the beginning of the season, I'm gonna move kids in and out, try to see how they perform under pressure, and then start putting them. But then, the whole other aspect of just building character and making sure that we're good role models and we're talking about character throughout the season, because that's where the important part is. It's great to win. It's great to go fast. It's great to go to state. But if we're not out there, making good citizens and teaching, which, this is a teaching sport, and they're student athletes for a reason. We need to be out there and just teaching them about life experiences and, what makes good character and all that. And I'd much rather have a team full of kids that have good character,
right,
than, somebody that's going to win state and then just are bad sportsmen and that sort of thing. And
of course,
because they're going to go on into the future. And I had a swimmer from last year that went to the Naval Academy, and she's in Annapolis right now. And so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring them along so that they have good character and that they're enticing to employers or military or whatever.
Yeah. Trophies are always fun, Coach, as you know, but like you said, it's building people, building, community members. Some of these kids may live in Prescott afterwards. Some kids may live in surrounding areas. They may live out of the state. And, like you said, Coach, if you can build a team of great kids, even if they aren't winning state titles every year, I mean, that's a true a much more telling thing about your program than it would be to see a winning program with a bunch of just really bad kids. But thankfully, that's not the case with Prescott High School and their swim coach, Bill Riviere. Coach, you kind of talked a little bit about club, just sort of in mention. I want to ask just briefly, what can you say about the emergence of club swim and how has it benefited your program? I know you also participate in club as well.
Yeah, club is huge. If you have kids that are just swimming for 3 months out of the year and then they go off and they do other things, which we encourage them to do. Mm-hmm. But if they just go and lay on the couch and eat potato chips and watch TV or play video games all day, you lose 1% a day that you're not in the pool. So it doesn't take very long before you're way out of shape and you have to now retrench all that physical ability that you had during the season. And so, a lot of times kids will go, oh, I don't want to do that work again to get back to where I was. So with club, we're working every day where we work even harder than we do in high school. Because the focus is in a different area. And so it's huge for us. They need to go to other sports, but when they're not in other sports, they need to come and keep swimming so that they at least keep a good basis for their physical fitness.
Well, even like you said, Coach, just the long-term benefits of just staying in shape and participating in swim. Swim's something you can do forever, just like golf, just like there are probably other examples, but realistically, it's not like football where your body gets to a point where it can't handle having another 200 plus pound person thrown into you. And whereas swim, obviously it's like you said, low impact. A lot of people do it. It's very fun. I need to go to the pool more, to be completely honest. I'm a West Coast guy and I'm rarely ever in the water outside of taking a shower, but I am excited to hear swim continue to progress. I know it's a sport that is catching a lot more popularity, and hopefully it'll result in more kids coming out for your program and other programs around this area and in Northern Arizona. But Coach, before we let you go, you've got that first match against Thunderbird. How are you preparing the team for it, and what are you expecting from Thunderbird High School on September 1st?
Well, Thunderbird's always a fight, and last year we went against them, and the boys lost by 6 points and the girls lost by 20. So it was a great first meet. It kind of shocked people into knowing that you're really going to have to bear down and go fast. But it's a good test for us, coming right out of working in the pool for 3.5 weeks. So we're excited about the opportunity to swim against Thunderbird. They're always going to bring it. And then we're going to see them later on when we get into state. They're going to have relays, they're going to have individuals, and we're going to have to swim against them again. So, you've got to go against the best to be the best or be better. And so going against Thunderbird is a good opportunity. We've got others in our schedule that are going to be just like that. Flagstaff, Mingus, Bradshaw. Those are always good meets because the kids rise to the occasion and their level of performance goes up because they know it's going to be tough.
Prescott High School will take on Thunderbird September 1st, and they will be coached all season long by this gentleman right here, Bill Riviere. Coach Riviere, thank you very much for coming on the program to get us caught up on the swim season. Best of luck with the season coming up. I know we'll touch base again, but seriously, best of luck and keep us in touch.
I certainly will. And thank you for having me on the show. It's a great opportunity to talk about swimming.
Of course, anytime, Coach. That's going to do it for this episode of Off the Bench. I'm your host, Philip Catalfamo, wishing you a great rest of your week. We will talk to you again next time.